Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back again to another How to Play. This time we're going to learn how to play my song Home Part 2 Twilight Soul, which is off my debut album Home that came out on April the 11th, 2024. It's a very simply structured song. I don't think there's anything too difficult in there. So yes, this could be considered a nice little beat. It's kind of Beatles Blackbird territory. In fact, this song was directly inspired by the first song I ever put up on my YouTube channel, which was a cover of Blackbird. So when I was practicing and relearning Blackbird, this song directly came from me learning Blackbird. So this song exists because of that song. So yes, a little bit of trivia for you. So yeah, we'll go tuning. There's 3 movements in the song. There's the verse movement, there's the chorus movement, and there's the pre-chorus / home refrain movement, and then there's the outro. So we'll break the song down into those 4 constituent parts and work our way through them. So tune in, just E standard. E, A, D, G, B, E. So E standard tuning. So this song's picking pattern. So even though there's 4 different there's 4 different parts to the song, the picking pattern's the same. So the picking pattern will be this, and I'll try and slow this down as much as possible. So that's the picking pattern throughout the entire song. That picking pattern doesn't change. So that's the key, is to learn that picking pattern. So that's the picking pattern for the song. And I'm strict with my thumb, fingers 1 and 2. It's always an open G string. So your G string is on finger 1, and then the high note is always on finger 2. Root note is always on the thumb. Oops. It's so weird having to play it so slowly. Anyway, that's the picking pattern. So let's move on to the pre-chorus / home refrain. The refrain opens the song, basically. That's why we're doing it first. So this is the... And obviously the tab is on the screen now for you. But it's the 5th fret on the A string. It's an open G. And then it's the 3rd fret on the B string there. And then we're going to move that shape up 2 frets so that we're on 7 and 5 with the open G string. And then we're going to move it down then to fret 1 and 3. So it's the same shape, moved up 2 frets, and then from the original position, moved down 2 frets. So the trick to this, because it's acoustic, is if you watch, I'll play it and then you see if you can see what I'm doing, and pay attention to how it sounds as well as looking at what my fingers are doing. Oh. Did you see what I was doing? Let me play it differently and listen for the difference. Did you hear any difference? I most definitely did. So the difference is, when you're moving between these positions, is to lift the third finger up that's holding down the root note. Because it's an acoustics, the string noise can be horrendous. So what I do is, I'll quickly lift up my third finger that's playing the root note. Because this finger's on a non-wound plain string, it doesn't really make any noise when you move it. But this makes so much noise that you have to lift the finger up to make it clean and sound nicer. So lift the finger up on the root note. And then you get a much nicer transition between each part, between each chord. Otherwise it just sounds, it's just a mess of string scrape, and you don't want that. So start off, and we'll call this position 1 is 5 and 3. Position 2 moves up 2 frets to 7 and 5, and then the third position we move down to 3 and 1. And then there's a little hammer on. There's a little hammer on there from open on the B string, open to fret 1. And then to finish the refrain pre-chorus, we move up to 10 and 8. And then we transition into the verse. So to play it all the way through, it would be like this. Transition into the verse. So when we play the home refrain as the pre-chorus after a verse, we don't go up to 10-8. We just play positions 1, 2, and 3 twice. We just rotate that twice, so it would just be pre-chorus. And then we move into into a chorus. So the verse is a G, A minor, and then a B, back to the A, and that's it. This is the verse. Oh, keep playing that. It's so difficult to play this properly so slowly, because I'm on autopilot when I play it normally. I don't even think about it. So trying to teach it is quite discombobulating. So it's G, A, B, A, and repeat. And then we transition back then into the pre-chorus or the home refrain. So when we play the chorus, we're going to play this slightly differently to the verse. Even though we're playing similar chords, the fingerings change slightly. So the chorus, we're going to play the G, which now has that high D note instead of the open. But we're going to be playing it with our second and third fingers. And then we're going to play an open E with that first finger. So it's the same as the A, but we're going to be playing a low E instead of the low A. A little bit of trivia here and a change. So when I originally recorded this song, the chorus was G, A, F. I no longer play it like that. For some reason, I was noodling about after I'd finished recording it, and I found a nice, I found something I prefer. So I no longer play the song like it is on the album. I play it. I play a G, E, F. So the chorus is a G with a high D note, second and third fingers. Then it's an E with the high C. And then you're going to hook your thumb over to play the F root note. The first finger stays the same with the hammer on. So it's G, E, F. And then to finish the chorus, we move up to that 10-8 position from the home refrain. And then we move back into a verse, a pre-chorus, a chorus. So those are the three main structures. So that you got the refrain, pre-chorus. Only the home refrain goes up to the 10-8. And then you've got the verse. Pre-chorus, which is the same as the refrain, and then the chorus. Let's now move on to the outro of the song. So the outro of the song comes after the last home refrain, which will finish on 10-8. So I'll play the outro now as at the tail end of the home refrain. So that's the outro. So let's break that down a little bit. So it's G, same as the verse. So the first three chords are the same as the verse. A, B. And then instead of going back down like you would in the verse, we're going to go up. And as with the pre-chorus and the home refrain, where you have to lift the finger off the root note to stop the string scrape noise, we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to lift the first finger off to avoid the string scrape as we move up. So we're going to go G, A, B, C, which is going to be 3 and 5, 7 and 5 and 7 up to D. Then we're going to move up to 7 and 8, E, and then 9 and 10, which is F sharp. So it's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So if you remember it, it's G, A, B, which is 1 fret apart. The fingers are 1 fret apart. So 2 and 3. C is 2 frets apart, 3 and 5. D is 2 frets apart, 5 and 7. E is 7 and 8, 1 fret apart. And the F sharp is 9 and 10, 1 fret apart. So then it would just be. So then the outro would sound like this. And that's it. That is how to play my song Home Part 2 Twilight Soul. You can check out the album version in the description. You can also check out the sort of live in the studio, just an acoustic guitar and a voice version as well, which is how you would probably play it if you were going to just play along at home. Because on the album, there's a whole sort of vocal drum outro after that last G chord. But obviously when you're playing that just with a guitar and your voice, you can't do that. So the acoustic sort of live in the studio version ends with that final G chord. Whereas on the album, it's kind of a fuller with vocal harmonies, and it goes on a little bit longer. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you found that useful, helpful, enjoyable. Hopefully you'll check out, the song on Spotify or Bandcamp. Check out the album. I think you might like it. If you like the acoustic stuff and you're here watching, the support would be amazing. So, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Take care.